touch somebody, find out that they understand when you tell them what you've been through. So touch somebody, find out that they understand when you tell them what you've been through. So touch somebody, find out that they understand when you tell them what you've been through.
Hello, hello, hello.
Oh, hello, hello, hello.
We're back for another episode. It's Jay Dunlap, Victoria Dunlap. It is our anniversary today, and we're giving y'all a little bit of our time before we start enjoying the evening. I put the title as Navigating Through the Turbulence, being that this is our anniversary, and this is our second anniversary, first of all, in counting. And navigating through the turbulence, this popped into my spirit, and it was just based off of the fact that I think a lot of times we don't understand what we have to go through and how many things gonna be coming at you when you're trying to do right in your relationship and you're trying to work together, and two people are blending and mending lifestyles and the way they are. That was just that was the topic that popped into my head. We're going to touch on some areas that come up and why things come to attack you when you're trying to do the right thing and make sure your relationship is on the right track, when you're taking care of your family, kids, family, friends, everything just start going out of whack when you're doing something that's positive. And I believe this platform is extremely positive. It's extremely helpful to people. We've been getting so many different reviews and so many different comments outside of the podcast that just lets us know that it's needed.
Mhm.
And what you think?
That's very true. I think people have to realize that we really don't wrestle against flesh and blood, but principalities and darkness we can't see. But when we're doing things for the kingdom of God, there is gonna be turbulence. It's gonna be disturbance when you're taking and you're changing um, the narrative of the outcome. We've had some challenging weeks with this podcast. Um, and I asked my husband, like, I it was more of a question why how some people can stay in their homes and mind their business and they don't reach out to help the change come about, because there's so much that comes with the change in your own life. It's almost like to surrender yourself and say, you know what, I'm going in no matter what comes, no matter what goes, that I'm willing to do the will of God. And so I think that is challenging for people, especially marriages. We received a text message today wishing us happy anniversary, and they was explaining that marriage is hard, but we make it look easy.
It ain't easy.
Ha! Whoo! It's not for the weak. It
Yes,
ain't for
yes,
it. Ain't,
yes.
and I think that's where when I seen that,
I think because we look good.
we look good.
Yeah, yeah. As we age like fine wine.
Y'all
So
see this gray
everybody,
hair popping up.
so everybody think that just because we age well that it's
Mm.
easy. It's not easy.
It's
It
not
takes
easy.
work.
It takes work, but not only work. My sister, she's always, we have deep conversations, and she's always asking good questions. I'm like, I'm not even signing up for this. I haven't even talked to her today, but she sent me that text. And so when she said, we make it look easy, and the first thing popped up in my mind is that that's why most marriages fail, because we're looking for easy.
That's true.
When I tell you it's not for the weak, marriage, is something that I believe God, when He put two people together, He understood the weakness that we both have, and have had. But it takes a different type of unity to get past the obstacles that you create with your disagreement versus what life throws at you on top of it. And so I think that's where we as people are struggling when we can't communicate or we feel like the other one is not listening to each other. It's very hard because I'll tell anybody that if you want to see some problems in your relationship, start turning away from God and giving your attention to other things. You'll start having crazy stuff happen. Or the opposite, when you're trying to do the will of the God, you have to know that opposition is going to come. But I also believe that if we're his disciples, that we have to drop everything. And sometimes it's the way we feel. And it's hard to do. It's so hard to drop how you feel at times. But that's just a reminder that we're walking in the flesh and not walking in the spirit. Because when you're walking in the spirit, you can't feel, you can only experience it. And so that's just my take on, some of the challenges that I've had to endure personally, from friendships, feeling broken, disagreements, feeling irritable, feeling under attack. And even when I'm feeling like that, I try to go underground, what I call it, to try to recalibrate and try to have some understanding. But where there's no where there's spirituality, you can't take your understanding to the spirit. You have to go into prayer so God can tell you what he needs. I think a lot of times people think prayer is for us to tell God what we want and what we need. Prayer is the time to allow him to speak to that flesh that you can't calm down. Because sometimes we can't calm our flesh down because we're in the world. We're experiencing it. It's like we're spiritual beings having a human experience. And sometimes it's a conflict of interest for the best of couples.
And that's mainly because we're so attached to this world.
Mhm.
We're so attached to everything that's around us that it takes us away from the worship and keeping our focus and our eyes on God.
Mhm.
So when things attack you, you know you're going to go under attack. You know you can't be doing the will of God and not be attacked. You can't be speaking life into people and getting a good response and think that everything is going to go smooth.
Mhm.
It's impossible. But the funny thing about it is those attacks come out of nowhere. You know, riding down the road, something happens. You know, it's like getting a flat tire, not even prepared. You're not looking for a flat. You left out the house, you just bought tires, just
Mhm.
put new tires on your car.
That happened to
But
me.
you ride down the street and all of a sudden, I got a flat tire. That's how the enemy and the attacks come about. And I don't really like giving it the title of enemies. I
Mhm.
like giving it the titles of your mind battles.
Mhm.
You know, we constantly go back in time with your mind and what trauma you've been through. So when you're a person that comes into a relationship and your voice hasn't been heard, and sadly, and we just finished speaking about this, men voices have been muted so much. You know, it was a time where men represented something. And I do understand the fact that we have not been representing ourselves in the best light in our families, with relationships, in the household, with committed, loving, caring relationships. But that doesn't exclude the fact that our voice still has to be heard, because when you're trying to gravitate towards a better place, you need that ear. You need somebody to to hear what you're saying and really respect what you're saying. Um, in my personal opinion, me as somebody that knows I'm going to do right before I pick the negative to do. When I gravitate towards the wrong with frustration and getting upset and getting bothered, I penalize myself because I really think like I'm I'm prone. I'm not that person. I can't. That shouldn't attack me. I shouldn't allow that to ruffle my feathers because I'm always trying to pour in something positive into my mind. So when it happens, I think um, I get pretty down on myself just because I allowed it to happen, and I feel like I've gotten to the point of maturity where that's not going to happen. But that's a constant reminder that I'm human, and I think that's what God does it for. He want to keep me humble. He want to keep me grounded. When you get too high up, you can't get so high in the clouds that you're sitting next to God. That's impossible.
Hmm.
Even after we leave here, your spirit can float, but you're still never going to be elevated to that level of God. So understanding that we're going to make mistakes.
Hmm.
We're going to have bad days. We're going to have bad moments. The key is how quickly do you bounce back from it? And
Hmm.
that's where we're at with our 2-year anniversary. How quickly do we bounce back from having those moments of temporary insanity, as my wife called it? That's a temporary moment of insanity.
And we all have them. And I think it's not what you do, it's how you do it. Because we could be having a great time at 9, 10, by 12 o'clock. He looking at me and I'm looking at him like, okay now. But I think that's normal. Society has made it where everything's picture perfect. Every video is picture perfect. And that's not reality. So a lot of people are giving up on good relationships and good marriages because you're looking at a 30-second clip of somebody's marriage. That's not reality.
But I think it can be
It
reality.
can be
I think if
reality.
we really work hard at excluding all that we've been taught, that's something I'm going to shoot somebody out there we've been listening to for the past few days. It's a gentleman that literally talks about how your past disturbs your future. There's more that we look back, it hinders us from moving forward. So when we constantly remind ourselves of all the negative things that surrounded us and what we've been through, it'll keep you frustrated without even knowing you're frustrated. You're bothered by stuff because your mind is constantly reviewing what you went through. That's like watching a scary movie and it terrified you, but you keep watching it. Why are you gonna keep watching it if you know it terrified you and now you can't sleep at night? But that's what we do. We constantly keep programming, and that's something I want to definitely try to work with within my relationship. I really want to work on that part of not speaking on things and saying that this is normal because our normalcy is not normal. The way we were brought here, the way we was treated, our our anxiety that we have just by being black in America, those are things that programmed us to have so much tension within our household, within our families. And I think we really have to start praying, 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 meditating, getting some of them demons and spirits away from us because negative thoughts that brings out negative energy. So as long as we meditating on negative situations, we're constantly going to have negative thoughts and negative memories. So if we eliminate it and bring the positive in, change it. That's the biggest thing about life. We have the ability to change things. We have been so complacent with the fact that it's okay, it's normal. This is what I am. This is who I am. Take it or leave it. No, you shouldn't be satisfied with who you are. When you as a person brings out negative energy and bring negative fields that come around when you come around, that should be something that you want to change within yourself because it doesn't help you progress and it doesn't give you that peace that we all have. It's not normal for us. This is why we're here. because we are so confused with what is normal in the world because we are attached to everything. We're attached to our phones, we're attached to the TV, we're attached to books, we're attached to every single thing we're attached to. So at some point, it has to come a place where we say, I'm going to detach myself from what society says is normal for us as individuals and see how it works out for me. I've been trying it. It goes and comes. Today was a goer. Tomorrow it may be a comer. So it's just working at it and constantly working at it. And practice makes perfect. It's everything that we do. We have learned some from childhood. You practice it, work hard at it, and you can change the way we think. And that's the key. Change the way we think. It'll help me with my wife. It'll help her with me because we'll stop thinking that this is normal, it's okay. My mother and father did it. My aunts and uncles did it. I've met older people that literally said, we don't fight. We don't have disagreements. We have misunderstandings, or I might not agree with what she said, or she might, but we don't get upset about it. Life is too short, and we're really taking up a lot of time being in conflict with one another, being irritated with one another, to the point that we lose out on the best part of each other. We are two loving, godly people. We really, my wife loves God. She know I love God. She know I wants the best. I know she wants the best. But our flesh sometimes be so under attack that you can lose sight. I want my wife to speak on that.
Yeah, I mean, you can, and I think that's where, as married people, godly people, you can love God to the best of your ability. You can pray. You still can lose sight of what's in front of you. And I think it's hard. It's very hard to stay focused. And it's not about what I was saying earlier, is that you're going to have disagreements. You're going to have, he may like blue and I might like yellow. When you have those type of situations, you have to learn how to work it out and figure it out amongst each other. Because what happens is, when you have these small hiccups, you get on the phone, you want to go somewhere, you start to really lose sight, because now, even if you have something come up, you have to learn how to work through it and work on it together. Some people are slower learners, some people are fast learners, but making sure that you stay committed to the issue with your spouse. Sometimes we feel like, oh, you should know that by now. We have to also take an accountability for different decades, different generations. So now we're dealing with
What
so
you
many,
trying to call me? That's what
huh?
you trying to say. I
No.
know I'm older than you.
I mean, that's, and even, you know what? Honestly, like sometimes, like my music versus his music, like I
You
like
trying to
his
slip it
music.
in there. She
No,
trying to slip that
saying,
OG in there.
I'm
You
saying
trying to hit me
that,
up under the table.
but that's the conversation, because some people have an age difference.
That's true.
And so sometimes it comes to his music versus my music, his way of thinking versus my way of thinking. Learning how to allow two worlds to collide and to respect both of them. And sometimes, as the oldest, he may look at himself totally as the seniority of it. And then
But
sometimes
I
I'm the
don't.
baby and I think I'm the baby of it. But understanding that, no, seriously, it is a conflict.
Yeah,
It's
but
sometimes when
yeah,
just you know opposites attract.
yeah, but I don't think it's the I mean the baby and the older. I don't take me being older as being. I mean, I do look at myself as wise just
Hmm.
because of I seek knowledge. I seek
Mm,
understanding. I seek solutions.
mm,
And that's something that I'm really noticing about relationships is we talk a lot about the situation, but we're
mm,
not talking about the solutions.
mm,
And some of the solutions are looking at ourselves and understanding that we have been programmed to disagree. We have been programmed to tell you we don't like something.
mm.
We've been
Quick.
programmed to do all these things that brings negativity into the relationship. It doesn't pull in the positive energies that we need to levitate and gravitate to a higher level.
Mm,
So when we start looking at the facts of what we come from and realizing that we've been programmed to mistreat one another, maybe then we can start realizing the fact that I don't have a problem with her. She
mm,
doesn't have a problem
mhm,
with me. We have a problem with what we were programmed to do to one another. And we truly have been programmed to destroy one another from young to old, from mother to daughter, from son to father. We've been put against one another. And until we start realizing those are the generational curses that we must break. And
mm,
by breaking it is reprogramming the way we think. It's not like if I'm listening, it's having the being courteous enough that if I walk in and my wife is already in her music zone, I'm not going to come and pump up my music over her to disturb. This might be her moment of zoning out in a whole different way. This might be her release. So we have to be conscious of the people, of the person that's in your life. Giving and showing that level of respect for one another should be appreciated. We have to get more of appreciating one another. Like she said, it shouldn't be about the minor things. When we say you love someone, when I love you, you love me. When I walk in the door, I want to think about how I can bring a smile to your face and not a frown. So if I come in and now I got my phone and I'm bumping to some Jersey club music, and my baby in here listening to Tupac.
I
No,
now
I'm
I'll
just
tell you,
saying she
I
like
listen.
Tupac.
I
That's
and now
it's
this is
nothing.
this is gonna be
There's
this a
nothing
real
wrong
moment.
with
It's
liking
nothing
Tupac.
because he's my favorite rapper. But I have listened to Tupac so much, even when I'm listening to gospel. Tupac somehow he gets on my
Oh
radio
yeah, that's
station,
how it is.
and
They
that's
got
the
us
thing
tracking
where
us.
being able to relate to different things because I love Tupac, it doesn't mean that I'm not connected to God. And I think that's how we're
No,
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 how
that's not
we're
what I'm saying.
no, that's what I'm saying, like with how we disconnect with the youth
Oh
because
yeah,
we feel like if they listen to something or they do something that there's no connection
no
to God. That's why we have to eliminate some of the religious, the
stereotypes.
stereotypes, the way we see, what you do and who you are. That's a conversation that I had with someone. They spoke about their husband really don't say I love you. And so I was like, well, okay. I said, well, my husband don't say I love you a lot, but he shows me so much. So my question was, would you rather someone tell you they love you or would you rather them show you they love you? Sometimes we eliminate great people of God because they don't come in that package that we think they should come in. They don't dress the way we think they should dress. They don't listen to what we think they should listen to, not understanding that God has a way of using peculiar people just to show you, do you see me? Can you see me over here in this person? Can you see me over here? Even when, because I feel like personally, it's a lot of people
Because we got
who
a young dude that we would listen to. We drove all the way to
I
Charlotte.
don't memorize
And
some
when I say
songs.
this little joker, you might see him and think he's just a killer, but Lord
His
have mercy,
praise
he's
is for
so
real.
anointed. I mean, God is coming through that young boy pores and he crying out for
Hmm.
help. And
Hmm.
that's what I say, brothers, we got to help these young brothers
Hmm.
because they are not without God.
Mm-mm.
A lot of them know who God is. A lot of them been through the struggles.
Mhm.
But because we looking at them in that dim light
Mhm.
that's not giving them enough light to shine, that we take away from who they are and
Mhm.
what God has instilled in them. He's
Mhm.
amazing.
Mhm. And we have to make sure we do that in our marriage as well. We compromise because, like Jersey music, I'm from the South, so it was almost like a culture shock to me. What is this? But
Now she love
now I have my own little
it.
jams that I like, and so I think that's being able to
And then
uh,
she was shocked because we have gospel
gospel.
house music. She
Mhm.
like, how can you go to the club and get into something when y'all got house music with gospel in it?
Yeah, and I think that's just that compromising of you can strongly dislike something, but you have to have that. I talked about it, and I think I probably first podcast of being having something in common, and that's God. And so when you have something in common, keep God in the middle of your relationship and your marriage, because no matter how you lose sight on the things you may like or dislike, but as long as God is light, He's going to keep drawing you to each other, even on the
That's
rough.
the energy.
You know, my husband say energy, I say spirit.
I mean,
We're talking
I
about
said
the same
positive, yeah, positive
positivity.
energy.
It's like it makes you feel
God
good.
is positive.
I'm growing tomatoes. I got 4 tomatoes out there. You can't tell me nothing.
They like that big.
Nothing. I'm on my way to being a gardener, but just trying to learn stuff new and grow. To this week, I wrote about, how can I become better? And when I thought about that question, a lot of us don't know how. Like, because you're not going to say 1 through 20, I suck at all 20 of them, but just finding ways to think of something that can help yourself um, emotionally, mentally. Like today is our anniversary, so I didn't know what to get my husband. And so I was like, how do you buy somebody something who got everything from shoes,
Don't
hats,
believe that, y'all.
scarves? Okay, well, I'm gonna take a
Don't believe
picture. You
that.
want me to show me your closet? You want me to show me your
No,
shoes? Huh?
we're not talking about that. That's not the topic. This is
Well,
not a fashion
this is just a
podcast.
statement of shopping. And so I'm used to buying. So, but when somebody got everything, literally, I'm like, what can I buy him that he doesn't already have? He trying to show us, watch y'all.
Yeah,
And
that's
so what
the
I did
allergies.
um, to challenge myself is I created him. It looked like a vision board,
Mhm.
but I wanted to do something to not only make him smile, but I wanted to step outside of my comfort zone and do something funny, do something creative, give some of my time to what I was doing. And so finding ways to find out what your, because this watch, he loved this watch, but he got 100 watches.
But speaking on what we talked about this morning about the finding something that you knew,
Yeah,
I
like
would appreciate
that's what I'm
because I
saying.
like the watch,
He liked the watch, but
but
he loved, the poster that I created. One of my first text message to him was, and that's funny, because I always say it to him now, rise and shine, it's toothbrush time.
I don't get it as much as I used to
That
though.
was my first text message. I didn't know what to say to him. But that's one thing about marriage is you can't be so serious all the time. You're gonna get, I'm telling you, if you ain't never had a sibling, you get one.
Yeah, especially only children.
Boy,
God is funny
I'm
with
trying to
that.
tell you, I'm like, I'm too old to have it's hard, but you learn that your communication may not be as good as it should be
Hmm.
because you don't know the give and
Hmm.
take. But one thing he know is that I love him and that I will move mountains on his behalf, even though I might be on the cliff sometimes. Like getting to that point, like you're gonna, you know,
And I
not
want men to understand something. When you do what you're supposed to do, it's always good that you're able to be able to voice how you feel about things without getting that negative. And she's not always, your mate is not always going to like it. They're
mm,
not always going to be comfortable with it. but it's a certain level of respect that they're gonna give
Mhm.
because you don't have all that other stuff
Mhm.
behind you. Like
Mhm.
if you done messed around and got caught and then did what you ain't had no business doing, it's kind of hard to make a stance and say something about maybe something that she may not have done, or something she can work on, or something she might
Mhm.
need to fix, because she's operating from a place of hurt,
Mhm.
and you're operating on from a place of ah, I don't really know the word to say. What
Irritation or a
No, the
lack of,
man is working from a point of thinking he's good, and the woman is working on it from a
but that's
place
not a godly
of.
place though.
But I
That's.
mean, she's coming from a point of view of I'm hurting.
Mhm.
You're expecting her to be the person that wasn't hurt. So
That's
you're
true.
not allowing her to feel, and you think everything is good. So when she has that moment and you like, well, you said you forgave me. Okay, I forgave you, but it doesn't necessarily mean I've forgotten. And
Mhm.
that's the thing of allowing her to heal. I never want to talk about separating and leaving and this one breaking up and doing this, but
Mhm.
understand if a person gives you a chance, fix it. Don't be so arrogant. Don't be so prideful. Don't have that ego where you're so far gone where you can't even be human. Do
Mhm.
you understand that takes away from that human side of us as men, that vulnerable side, that soft side, that loving side? When
Mhm.
you screw up, understand if she's sticking it out with you, she your ride or die. This is what we call, this is what you say,
Mhm.
but then you're not giving her a chance and you're still not doing the things that you need to do. Yeah, maybe you need to give her the code to your phone. Maybe you need to go over maybe you need to delete certain accounts. Maybe you
Mhm.
need to take certain things out your phone. Maybe you need to change your phone number. It's so many things that you might have to do to correct the situation in your household when you say you love a person. It's different with girlfriend and boyfriend. It's a little different. And you got a lot of relationships that have been together for 10, 20 years that just go together. So I consider that marriage. But when you're married and vice versa, either one, when you mess up, be compassionate enough to consider what you put a person through
Mhm.
and their hurt and pain that you might be receiving, that you say she walk around, she always got attitude. Well, I mean, have you played fair all the time? Have you gave in to her feelings? Have you had compassion for what she might have been through? Even if it doesn't have nothing to do with you, with her family. Some people have issues with their family
Mhm.
that you have to understand that could be a hurtful place for somebody that's been their go-to. And now that go-to person is jealous because maybe she's in a relationship
Mhm.
or she has somebody now. So now they feeling neglected. All these things is putting yourself in each other's shoes to make your relationship work better.
Mhm. So y'all can see today our topic is about marriage. Um, Nobody said that the road would be easy. Hey, I don't wear heels no more. I'm wearing all tennis
She
shoes.
said she is going to be on the next singing wife.
I'm coming out with a CD called Y'all Didn't Know I Could Sing. But honestly, y'all, I'm telling you, it's worth it though.
That's the
It's
title.
it's worth because God created marriage for something, and I feel like it's a great mystery. And if you tap into Him, you will start to unlock things about your spouse that you can't do on your own. Like if you put me and my husband on paper, we're not compatible. If you put us on spirituality and the love of God, we've been married for 25 years and he just didn't know. And so, seriously,
That's what she told me.
I'm telling you, he wouldn't have chose me and I wouldn't have chose him because we have, we're headstrong. We just different. But God allowed us, and ordained us to be here for such a time as this because he knew that our spirits would withstand the hard things, that we can cover each other in weak times. We can rally together when it's necessary because we are a team and nobody can't have my back like him. Even if they tried, when it comes to us and these kids, my husband's stopping. It doesn't matter. Even if he don't even see eye to eye with that day, I know that I can pick up that phone and there's no hesitation. And so when you have
And she
your
know
team,
I go against her for these kids.
yeah, they probably think I'm the stepmama. Seriously.
She be feeling like some type of
Yeah,
way
like
sometime, and I'm
I
where
had to
you at?
learn
I'm
that.
gone.
I had to learn, like, okay, Shank was sick one time and he was like, "You need me to drive cost cert?" I'm like, I'm kind of the tough one. Who put a drive down there to give cost cert? But just
When he
understanding
was
that
at college, let's
he out
put
of
it that way.
college, y'all. Woo woo. We made it through. He's going on to his next part of life. But just remembering that when you love God, allow him to work on you individually as well as collectively. You can't be the fixer of that person because there's some things God want to see. Can you handle it? You say you love me. Do you love?
And you say you love
You say
him.
you love him. So if I'm putting this
I
person
got a
that's
good point on that.
if this person is problematic and I put you in their covering and you feel like I put y'all together, I want to see, can you handle it? Can you love this person in spite of how they're behaving? Can you come in and comfort them and give them that compassion that you know that I give you?
That
Are you
brothers.
are you
Yeah.
willing to be the face of God? Are you going to be my representative? Or are you going to be my apostle? Which one we going to be? And I think I'm telling y'all, if you ain't never had a mirror, marriage is mirror. It shows you you ain't all that. It shows you all right, but you'll realize a lot of things about yourself that your friends can't show you.
And brothers, you're not that special. We're not that special to the point when your wife or your lady holds on and protects you and want to give you that grace. Understand that sometimes God has given her that ability to withstand some of the BS that
Mm-hmm.
comes along with us at times,
Mm-hmm.
and vice versa. I was a hard nut to crack. My my statement was, don't side eye me. My statement was, when you
Hey,
get to know me, you
you
might
probably
not
like
like me. And that was just because I know how I was. I know how I am. I
how you used
know,
to be.
no,
Back see,
I
I'm
mean,
trying to
not
see
the negative. I'm not, I'm talking, but it's a good thing about me. It's not a negative thing.
that.
I want to, what God allows me to see in my wife is something sometimes that she may not see.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm going to push for that spirit to come out, because like she said, she's always been the background. This was my thought. My wife, I'm working on us so we can be that voice that speaks to the masses.
Mm-hmm.
So if I have to say something to her, I'm coming in the representative of God, and I'm probably gonna get scolded for it. I'm probably gonna get the side eye. My baby gonna pout, but I can't withhold the information that I know that's gonna liberate her spirit. When you are godly, I seen it. I
That's why.
seen her
That's why you my husband.
with my kids. It's the same way. I told them one day, I said, I cannot correct you. I said, because you're under my watch. I said, do you understand that I'm not about to get same way you look at me as your daddy and your papa, your father? I got a father I got to answer to. So why would I allow what he gives me to give to you to hinder my growth? Now,
Mm-hmm.
by me not telling you, I tell men this. When I give you that information, brother, hey, I'm sorry. I, I'm not judging you. I don't care what you do
It's not looking
once you
good.
walk away from this. But if I give you this goodness right here
The warning.
and you walk away with that knowledge and you don't do
Uh,
the right thing,
honey, baby.
man, I done seen it too many times.
Hey.
That's something that's so humbling to me, is because God shows me, like, I gave you the message to give to them. You gave it like you're supposed to. And I warned them.
God give you warning before destruction. And
But I
so,
warned them. I told them.
but that's the thing though. If you're not in tune with God, you just feel like somebody trying to tell you what to do.
Mm-mm,
But I'm telling you,
mm-mm,
y'all, marriage is worth it. I had a discussion about self care versus self love.
mm-hmm.
We have allowed the cliche of self care to take us to a whole nother realm because love, it covers a multitude. And so when God is giving you warning, he's allowing you, he's giving you that grace, he's giving you that compassion. But when you fail to understand that God's children have a responsibility, because if I give you the message or I refuse to give you the message, now the blood is on my hands.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm held accountable because he shows his children different things. And so, as my husband was saying, the side eye, but me
No, what
being,
was you saying about the? You was about to go on to something else.
yeah,
So
about the self care,
yeah.
I'm
Okay.
gonna go back down the
Okay.
street. But that's
I
why
know you was telling me
that's
you wanted to say that.
that's why he's my husband. Because when you're strong, you need somebody stronger than you. Even sometimes I don't like it. And sometimes I probably get on his nerves, but that's what make like he'll say, well, my wife a certain way. And then when he had to deal with that lunatic, he like, it's
It
like a
looked
shock.
like we handled it well, don't we? No, 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 I know it do. It looked like
It's
we
like
handled it real
it's
well,
like
right?
a shock to his mind. Like this is really her, and I'm thinking this is. He know I love him with every fiber, but those days of temporary insanity, it's like my husband being shocked. Like
No, I don't be in shock.
yeah,
This
you
is
do.
what God. But
Yes,
that's the
but
thing.
nobody
My
can do the
my
job
human
like you.
side has stepped out of the spirit. Now that's where it'll mess up at. It says like the man on the boat. You keep your eye. Oh God, you can walk on water if you keep your eyes on on the
Hey,
prize.
you
I
have
be
to.
taking my eyes off the prize and I sink every time.
Yeah, like Peter. But like what I was saying is with the self care and the self love, we have taken it and misunderstood it. Self care is okay. I'm gonna get my nails done. Or I'm
Mhm,
gonna get my
mhm,
hair fixed. Or I'm gonna get
mhm.
my. I don't get lashes, but we do all these outside things that we feel like I'm good. I'm traveling. I'm bought a new car. Oh, I bought this. But you'll find your spirit just as empty as your bank account because you're gonna spend up your money and you're not gonna get any resolution to the issues that you're having. So when you look at self love is taking care of your spirit. And when you have that self love, that means you have boundaries, you have expectations, you have the love of God. So when you ready to meet your partner, that self love that you have, like my husband has a lot of self love, and I have a lot of self love as well. So that causes us to
Surround everybody else with
surround
it,
everybody else with the self love,
but they
but
feel it.
they feel it like
Mhm.
when we're in the presence of other people, they love. Whenever my sister comes to the house, she fall asleep. It's not too many times she come here and she don't fall asleep, or the
Mhm.
kids may fall asleep,
Cubs
or
do too.
my cousin came, fell asleep. But that self love is okay. I love myself enough not to do this.
And it pours out on others. When you love yourself, that self care, like she
Mhm.
said, it's different.
It's a difference.
Getting your nail, haircuts,
Yeah,
getting a
that's
shave,
cute, but then
but that self love, when
that
you love
worthiness.
yourself,
Mhm.
that love oozes out on everybody else, and it's not selfish love.
Not selfish care.
Yeah, it's a difference.
The self love, it like my husband know how far to go with me, like I know how far to go with him because of his self love. It's not cockiness or arrogance. It's okay. I expect certain things. He expects certain things. So that keeps us in the realm of staying common with one another because we understand he ain't going for anything. I'm not going for anything. And I think that self love if you say something or you handle me in a way that I don't like or he don't like that, I didn't like that. Because now that's gonna keep him aware of how to treat me. That's gonna keep it's vice
And
versa.
it's how she said it. You heard the way she said it? That's how she would say it. It's not blah 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 blah. Blah. No, it's just like she said it, babe. I didn't like the way you. That's how it comes off
Mm.
when I'm told. On the times that I'm not told, I get the
Sometimes
silence and I get
it's
the poke,
but
poke.
you know what?
I get the potty
But
mouth.
you know what? And see, that's the thing. I would rather be silent than
She
be.
said this to me.
And that's the
Tell
thing.
them the,
We
the
had.
exact
We,
words that you
I
said,
don't know
man.
the exact, but I
I
know that.
I do. She told me. She said, as a black man, and as my wife met me praying for me,
Mm,
and when you pray for somebody that you don't know and you're just meeting, sometimes God allows you to see something in them that's different.
mm-hmm,
And she saw some of my pain.
mm.
And she said to me, I don't want to say anything that hurts you more than you already
Already
have
been
been
hurt,
hurt.
and that's the thing of
That's how I knew. I didn't know that
you
day.
didn't know because you were still on the run.
I didn't,
But I pray, and like I didn't pray. Like I pray, God showed me you in April. I had this dream of this tall, broad man. He asked me in my dream, "Do you need me?" I was buying a home. It was just a beautiful dream, but I was like, I don't know nobody that tall. I'm not dating nobody. What is this person? And one of the first things my husband asked me was, "Do you need me?" And I said, "Yes." To this day, if you know us, we're not that, you
I'm
know,
not,
it
most people thought I was mean. A
yeah,
lot of people think, she even heard people give reenactments of
yeah,
who they thought I was, but the conversation, like, once I got to know you, man, you
yeah.
cool people, you
We're
good people.
standoffish.
But I'm not that. That's just me coming from the northern, being the only child. A lot of times I think only children. You might can elaborate on it.
I
We're
don't
very
know.
protective of ourselves. We're very private in a lot of ways, and we're covered because it's just us.
I have the right
It's
to remain.
different when you have siblings and you got a big brother that got your back or a big sister. You know what I'm saying? When you got just you, a lot of times you're not that friendly because you're
Hmm.
afraid of allowing people into your space that can violate
Hmm.
that type of trust that you have. And now you got to go somewhere else.
Or even the loyalty, because I really had the right to remain silent on part of this, but I think with me, when I consider somebody a friend, like I have a lot of associates, but if I consider you a friend, that means I have a certain amount of responsibility to you if I need you. If you need me, I can't say, oh, I'm busy, or, so when you consider people friends, make sure you're living up to that part of it. Because we was listening to something and the guy said that he thinks that friends is God apologies for some family members.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was like, okay, you know how a brother is born for adversity, but a friend loves at all times. And so being friends with your partner is the best way. Can't be in competition. You have to be friends and understanding that friends, I think that's something we kind of struggle with. Like only children, if you say something they don't like, or they don't know that it's not unto death. They take it literally to heart. And so now we're past that point, like, okay, we beefing for the second. Babe, what you want to eat? Learning to grow to that and understanding that we have to push past all the extra extremities that's on the outside to say, this is my husband. I love him. He loves me. If he going there, I'm going in there. It's funny how you have to grow and want to grow. You can't be stagnated for as like, oh, that person don't mean nothing to me. We was talking about codependency, depending on someone in a healthy way. But now it's like if you depend on your spouse that you're needy, you should want to be needed. You should want your spouse to need you because if you don't, what is your purpose? Like, my question would be, marriage to me allowed my spirit to get rest from warring. God has been getting me up 4 o'clock in the morning, which He hadn't done in a while. And so, marriage to me, honestly, y'all, because we dated for years, but something about our marriage, it seems like that it's like another level. You know how if you're standing up on the hill and you looking out, you can see farther. You can see, and I know marriage is not for everyone. I get that. But for the ones that are married, I'm encouraging you to love each other. Today's not promised. They used to say, here today, gone tomorrow. You could be here today, gone today. Learn to not live with regrets. If it doesn't affect your life in 5 years, is it really worth being mad about? Sometimes we're so mad about something that you can't even remember what you mad for. Like, oh, I was mad about, I can't even remember what it was because it's that simple. That marriage belongs to God and that marriages have been under attack for it's breaking down. It's so people don't even do it. They don't even feel like
It's
that
worth it.
it's worth it.
And it is.
It's
It's
worth
really
it
worth it.
because I promise you, when you down, your friends, my family, they can ride. My friends can ride, but my husband, because I'm a force to be reckoned with. So when you need somebody that's gonna come in and say, you know what, babe, it's okay. We had dealt with some stuff with Zion last year, and I was literally beside myself. I couldn't focus. I couldn't sleep. I was nervous. I was scared. And I'm the person that pray for everybody. They tried to say my baby had cancer. And my husband had to, babe, Zion's gonna be okay.
Because my faith and understanding is different. With all that I've been through, with everything that I've
Mm,
been faced with, my optimistic personality is something, character is something that I value because I'm gonna give you that yes. I'm gonna give you
to the very
I
end.
believe until the monitor go beep.
My
I'm
baby
gonna
still laying hands.
I'm gonna
Give me five
believe
minutes.
that if God sees fit, He's gonna make it happen, and that's the key. That's a blessed way for me
Mm-hmm.
to because I have to be that strength. I can't if she's breaking down. The
Mm-hmm.
last thing she needs me to do is break down with her. She's
Mm-hmm.
seen her dad, and it was like that's something she came. She said he's not going to be here long,
Mm-hmm. 3 months
and
before.
and truly, man, I'm not going with that. Even though I seen him and he looked in my eyes and literally our eyes connected on his last visit to a doctor, and I seen it in his eyes, but
Mm-hmm.
I had to have the strength for my wife. I
Mm-hmm.
knew that the power that she needed was going to be so different. And
Mm-hmm.
sadly, mines came right after it. My
Mm-hmm.
mother passed not too long after Pop.
Mm-hmm.
So this type of bond and relationship, and that's why we say marriage is important.
Mm-hmm.
Relationships are important. I wasn't a big believer of marriages just
He
because
wasn't.
of the history of families. You know what I mean? Just because of what we came up with.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing the dysfunctional relationships within supposed to be loving, caring relationships.
Mm-hmm.
So many families have been broken up because nobody can figure it out to say, I got to dig deeper. It's something about God putting man and woman on this planet that that unison means something. What is it? What do
Mm-hmm.
I need to do?
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that I worked. I still. That's like I say, having someone to trust you, to know that you're going to make the right decisions in situations of temptation.
Mm-hmm.
That's key in your relationship. My wife doesn't have to. That's not something she's going to worry. That's not something she's going to think about because first of all, she thinks I'm just so mean to everybody. She like, if you come up to him, that's just out of the case because he's not that. I'm not, like she said, we're not approachable to that degree.
Mhm.
And even if we were, it's still a level of respect that I carry for myself. It's not the fact that I have a wife, it's the fact that I'm a man that has more respect for myself. And I'm not going to allow your temptations to tarnish my character. I love being considered a man, and part of being a man to me is being able to give my word, being able to say something and mean it, being able to stand on who I am and not who I assume and make up and
Mhm.
put false accusations, false statements out of who I am. I'm
Mhm.
not. This is me.
Mhm.
Take it or leave it, like it or love it. Like I told her, you may not like me once you get to know me, only because I'm going to give you 100% me. Uh, that's what you want to know somebody loves you. That's the only way you're going to know somebody loves you. If they know the good and the bad,
Mhm.
because if they don't, and then that side pops out, now they like, oh my God, this Joker was crazy, you know.
And
So
that's true. Like with marriage, it's not about, oh, I'm happy. Marriage is not happy. Marriage is a commitment between you and God and another person. It's not about, some days we just chilling. Some days we're laughing more than others. But even in the turn, even on the riding on the yellow line sometimes, understanding that we're committed to our do. I still do today. I still do tomorrow. I always love you. And that's what you have to keep saying is I still do. He could be crazy as two left shoes, but I can't think of nobody else in this world that I would want to struggle with, be happy with, achieve with, because you can meet a lot of people, but the one that God gives you, you take them to hold on to it. So that's
y'all
why.
gonna see it. Y'all
Hmm.
gonna see
You
it.
know, see, it's worth it. It's worth it. And don't give up on love if you're single and you're looking for love. You look for God, and baby,
Yeah,
I'm
send
telling you,
what you
He'll
need.
send you exactly. And you be like, man, all
And
them
that's the
time
thing.
I should have been talking to God.
We talk so much about God, but we very seldom put that faith and belief in
Hmm.
God that needs to go there.
Hmm.
We don't put the belief, we talk about it and let's imagine. You never seen it, you never touched it, never held it. But we put so much conversation in it
Hmm.
instead of effort and belief in it. You
Hmm.
have to really believe with your soul
Hmm.
for it to get to that place
Heart,
of,
mind, body,
of
and
building
soul.
and growing and cultivating. But we're going to get out of here and we got to keep it on a time. I'm going to give you this poem and we're going to say goodnight. As I awaken from my slumber, morning is here. Today is the day, and Mother's Day is here. Sad tears as thoughts appear. It's only been a year, was my first thought last year, and now it's here again. My love was real, my love was true. My love could be seen just by the way that I treated you. Day after day, the treatments became harder. The sickness from your illness weakened my mother's flesh. Treatment after treatment, chemo after chemo. Fear begins to eat away at her flesh as the strongest person I ever known became weakened in front of me. While I sit and wait for the session to end, I can see the light in her eye begin to dimmer. God allowed me to see that the end was near.
Oh,
Thank
oh.
y'all. Thank y'all.
Thank
Thank
y'all.
y'all.
Thank y'all.
Mama, I will always love you. Miss you. Pops, we miss you.
Hey,
And till next time,
next week we're gonna talk about blending families.
blending families,
Blending
blending
families.
families, and
So
loving them.
love
Love
the
what God put
blending.
together.
Yes.
Good night. Good night. Good night. Good night. Good night. Good night. Good night.